Well, I'm here again with superstar salesman Rich Norton. And Rich, I always tell people that you are the top salesperson in the merchant services industry today. I don't, I think I've met just about everybody that sells payment processing. I don't know anybody that sells more accounts. And I thought maybe before we dive into this, we're giving all these sales tips. Would you mind sharing any kind of high level stats of kind of what does a top performer look like, and kind of what are your levels of performance that would justify people want to listen to your advice on how to do this?
Absolutely. But it's amazing how fast the time goes by. As I approach going into 2025, this will be my 25th year in
Wow.
this industry. I've been in direct sales since I was 18 years old. I sold encyclopedias door to door, not for a month or a summer. I did that for like almost 19 years. I held on like a thread, as that business was dying. And
Right.
thankfully, somebody introduced me into this business in early 2000. So here we are 25 years later. I thank God for the opportunity. It was a second chance opportunity coming into merchant services. And I said, I'm going to take complete advantage of it. I've always been the top performer. I was averaging 400 merchants a year for many, many years. There was one guy that actually really pushed me and really challenged me, and I wrote 500 one year. And then there was another guy that came in, and he really said he's going to beat me. And Brian Camstra challenged me. He said he may beat you. I ended up writing 601 that one year, which was crazy. I won't do that again because it's completely out of balance. But even to this day, I still write 300 merchants per year. Not because I need to. I mean, to me, that's the most challenging part of what I do. I love it. I love getting up in the morning. I love going out every day, writing merchants. And my passion is to teach people how to reach their maximum potential. And that's what I say about our team is that everything that we teach is exactly what we do. As you always talk about, you see me in my office, my car,
Right.
I drive out in the field, and I'm writing merchants today as we're talking, and I'll write another one as soon as we're done. And I love that, and I love coming home. To me, that's the best challenge. But I really do have a passion to teach people how to be incredibly successful in this business. And I know what we do and what we teach really does work.
I love it. Well, Rich, today I wanted to see if you could share a few tips with us about listening. So last year we talked about being likable, then we talked about building trust. And part of building trust, what you alluded to last week, was we ask questions and then we're listening. What do you want to give us some quick tips on how to become more effective listeners and how that can impact our performance?
I always say this, that the best salespeople are the best listeners. I love it when people will call me up and say, hey, I want to get into sales and I know I can be great at it because I have the gift of gab and I can sell ice
Mhm.
to an Eskimo. And automatically I want to tell them, nah, that's not the right way,
Right.
because it's really the opposite. And I
Right.
find it's amazing that I find the people that really are the most inward seem to be the most successful because they have learned the art of listening. So if you're taking notes, you should write that down. The best salespeople are the best listeners. So when you walk into a business, build a rapport and start asking questions. And then what you're going to find out is what are their pain points. And as you're asking the questions, and I know when you're new and you're first starting out, you're thinking about my pitch, what do I say next? And you're not even listening to them. So
Right.
make sure when you're asking them questions that you're listening to what they're saying, but you're really genuinely interested in what they're talking about. And this is that whole part of getting them to like you. Because
Mm.
if you listen to them and you compliment them, because that's a big part of human behavior, people love to be recognized. When you
Yeah.
walk into a business and you see that they got all their trophies from when they were in high school and they were on the all-star wrestling team, you just go in there and say, wow, did you win all these? First place, first, but man, tell me about that. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to start talking about that because
Mhm.
people like to talk about themselves. And as they're talking about themselves, give them compliments. But when you're asking questions when it comes to the sales process, really listen intently. And then what's going to happen? You're going to find out what is going to be the best solution for this particular merchant right now. And I know a lot of representatives, I've talked to a bunch that have come from different companies, and they're like, cash discount, 4%, $45 a month. That's all I'm selling because I know I make the most amount of money with that. that's fine, but you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. Because if the business says, I'm not going to charge my customer at all, I don't think that's a right process. What are you going to say? You're going to try to convince them to say, what are you, some kind of idiot? It doesn't work that way. But if you say, you know what, I got to put my hat off to you because what you're telling me is that you really care about your customers. And because of that, your customers are going to keep coming back. So hats off to you. Great job. What you're looking for is a solution, to correct me if I'm wrong, a solution that's going to benefit your business. Not only that, but it's going to cut some cost as well. Am I correct in saying that? Yes, I am. And that's the magic word, is getting them to say yes. And you see that I'm developing a rapport, but it all starts with asking questions and listening to what their responses are.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And I think too, when you, as you mentioned, Rich, when you're listening intently and sincerely, you're going to get that direction that you need to go with the pitch. And even if the conversation is going in a direction that you don't like, for instance, maybe you do want to sell, a dual pricing or some kind of program, and they initially have some resistance, but the way that they voice that, if you go right in, as you said, to like, well, that's stupid. What's wrong with you? Well, that's never
Right.
going to work. You're trying to
No,
win the argument and lose the sale. But if you can use like a buffer statement there and kind of what you said, and you might say, well, I want to push it a little harder. Okay, that's fine, but still use the statement. So you go in and say, wow, I got to take my hat off to you. The way you're in tune with your customers' needs is fantastic. Let me ask you a question. When you do a regular price increase, I'm sure you've done one this year, right? And they say yes. Okay. When you did that price increase, did you get any negative feedback from your customers or did they accept that? Okay. Well, they accepted it. Great. Well, if there was a way that we could put a program together to offset some of the cost of processing for you, but really that same concept of just a very small price increase, would that be something you'd like to discuss? So, right, we
love it.
can we can go in these other directions maybe, and then they might say, "No, I'm just not interested in doing that." And then you say, well, this is amazing. You are so committed to your customer experience. I love it. So, and then you go into the line you just said. So I think, even if you want to push a little bit by listening, you're able to give them that compliment, that buffer statement that allows you to continue pushing a little bit, right, without losing the sale.
Exactly. Because I teach everybody you can give one objection and overcome that objection. And if they still respond, like you said, that no way, I am not charging my customer
Right.
at all, then you go on and move on to the next one. So, and that all comes with listening because a lot of it has, it may be just in the way that they say it. They might say, James, I just don't know about charging or
Right.
adding a fee at all. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of the businesses I've been helping out, they told me exactly the same thing. And once we were able to get them set up on this program, which I'll explain to you in a minute, they absolutely love it. In fact, they're calling us back, thanking us for putting them on the program. I had a merchant that called me up. And they said, "You have basically saved our business by having us on this program right here."
Yeah, I
So,
love it. Yeah. So
yes,
again, getting into that, I think just listening so crucial, and then allowing what you hear from the merchant to direct that conversation. It's a very elite level skill. I feel like, Rich. I feel like there are
yes,
a lot of agents who they're struggling and they don't know why. And it's because they're not listening. And I get it. You're like you mentioned earlier, it's like you're thinking about what you're gonna say. And we're gonna talk about that actually in the next video. So we'll leave that for the next topic. So before we let you go though, Rich, give us some contact info real quick. You've been so generous to share that with those who want to reach out to you. So give us that if you would.
it's my pleasure. As you were bringing that up, if you don't mind me sharing, I remember when my daughter was in high school and they were talking about meeting friends and so forth, and they
Yeah.
got invited to a party, her and one of her friends. And I said, if you want to be the most popular person at the party, I have an assignment for you. This is what I want you to do. And most people think they have to go out and talk about themselves and promote themselves. I said, don't do that at all. All you're going to do is meet as many people as you possibly can, ask them a lot of questions, sincerely be happy with their responses, give them some good recognition, spend a couple minutes with them, move on to the next one, and do that all night long. And I promise you, you'll be the most popular person at the party. And I
Yeah.
think if people practice that just in life in general,
Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
that's the difference. Do that in our business. So yes, little tidbit for you there.
Love it.
So yeah, reach out to me at 904-434-4635, or you can email payrockrich norton at gmail.com.
Love it. Thanks, Rich.